Hey everyone, it's Susan with the Outdoor Gear Review. I just got to Lone Wolf Mountain and get this, it's already starting to rain on me. It's okay that it's raining because I am back with the Legit or Shit series. Every fall here on the channel we test cheap, inexpensive tents to see how they hold up in rainy conditions. Here in the mountains during the summertime we have a lot of pop-up showers and it's super hard to predict when they will pop up. In the fall our weather systems are much more predictable. So I'm back for the first test of 2023 and I have my Coleman Skydome 4-person tent. I should mention that the version I have is awesome for women. All the men out there are probably going to hate this thing, but you might want to get it for your wives. This was a limited edition run between Vera Bradley and Coleman. The Skydome is a current model of Coleman tents and there are all sorts of colors. There is even a purple one that's currently on the market. You can still find this crazy floral pattern that I picked up, but overall I love it. It's fun. It makes me happy. It makes me smile. So stick around, let's check it out. Here at Lone Wolf, I'm parked at the top and the cabin will be my bailout option if it comes to that. Hopefully this tent is going to surprise us both and I will last all night in it. A Coleman tent is pretty heavy. You're typically not gonna take that backpacking, so while I have the rest of my gear in my backpack, I have to carry the Coleman just due to the size and the weight of it. This is the Coleman Skydome 4-person tent. It also comes in larger models like a 6-person and a 10-person. The bag says it's a 5-minute setup, but I think that took me more like 15 minutes. Maybe it takes 5 minutes if you are pro and you've set it up hundreds of times. But yeah, I think 15 minutes is more accurate. Apparently this tent can handle storms and rain and bad weather. Tonight's the perfect night to test that out. I have the tent all staked out and I am ready. Let's get this testing started. When it comes to the tent, I've been standing back and admiring my handiwork, and the pattern is kind of resembling more like something you might see under a microscope. I know Luke made that comment to me one time, so maybe it's just stuck in my head, but he was saying it's like organisms under a microscope, and I keep looking at it and I can see what he sees now. It is a floral pattern with a paisley print, but yeah, it's kind of wild looking, especially when you are back quite a distance looking at it. I do like the black fly though. I think that's pretty cool. We'll call it the paisley organism tent. Inside of the tent, there is a ton of space, especially for one person, and there is quite a bit of mesh, which is impressive for a cheap tent. You can find this tent for around $100, give or take, depending on if it's on sale or not. There's definitely going to be plenty of room to change clothes and stuff. Keep in mind that a 4-person tent is really meant for 4 people if they're crammed in there. You can look at the bag of this tent and see that it shows 4 sleeping bags placed head to toe, so not 4 people laying shoulder to shoulder in this tent. It would be very cramped. The general rule of thumb when getting a tent is that a 1-person is for 1 person, and a 2-person is for 1 person and their gear, a 3-person is for 2 people and their gear, and so on, and that carries on with all tent sizes. You can fit the amount of people that they say inside of the tent, but you're going to be crammed in there and there will not be space for gear. So it's something to keep in mind if you want space and you have a lot of people that you're getting a tent for. Let's talk about the mesh that I mentioned earlier and why that is so surprising with a cheap tent. Fabric is much more inexpensive, and you will see cheap tents being mostly fabric. So to look at this tent and find that over half of it's mesh really surprised me. Even the door unzips part of the way to reveal some mesh. So there's going to be good airflow with this tent. When I first got here, I mentioned that it was raining, and that lasted about 30 seconds, but I'm still gonna get all my gear inside and set up because the sun came out, but it's gone now, so we don't know what's gonna happen. It could start raining any minute. For this trip, you will see that I have brought some luxuries with me. We may be stuck inside of the tent primarily for the whole trip, so I wanted to make sure I'm comfortable. I've brought a chair, a table, and some other goodies. My jet boil always lets me down, and after I get my coffee made, I will share a story with you guys how it totally embarrassed me in front of my friend. This thing, I don't even think I love it anymore. I think I hate it. I haven't talked a lot about the weather conditions, but this is going to be a cold and wet trip. Tomorrow the high is about 37 degrees. I am prepared for this trip. I have extra clothes, I have gloves, I have hand warmers. I can't wait to see what's gonna happen. I really am stoked to be out here. I'm excited to do this. I've mentioned before in other videos that I watched Luke do this, and I'm like, I want to do that. I want to go do a rain trip. It just all kind of came together. It came together perfectly for me to do a Susie solo and to test out my Coleman tent. It's going to be a wild ride, I think. With the Coleman tent, it appears that everything is going very smoothly, everything's going good, but that's not actually the case, and we need to talk about that. When I bought this tent, the first tent that I got was broke. So we have to subtract points, and we're starting in the red with this challenge. The tent arrived broken, the poles were broken, there was nothing I could do to fix it, so I had to contact the company and get a replacement sent out. When it arrived, I set it up, I inspected it, and overall, it does look good. This second tent looks good. The poles are all intact, the stitching looks good, the seam tape looks good. I don't see any glaring issues with it, but like I said, we have to start in the red because the first one was broke. I should mention that the package was not damaged. There was nothing wrong with the box. It came from the factory broken. Coleman is probably the most polarizing company out there because you do not know what you will get. It's a 50-50 split where you will buy something that will be great and perfect and you'll love it, and then you'll buy something that is complete garbage. Their warranty is amazing though. I hear from viewers all of the time, and they've had Coleman products for years, absolutely loved it, it broke, and then guess what? Coleman sends them a new one. So you can't beat that warranty, but it's the ultimate gamble to go with Coleman because you have no idea what you will get. It's like going to the casino. You could totally lose it all. But with the warranty, that really doesn't make sense if they will replace it. So I don't know, I'm still gonna call it a gamble because it might take you a couple of tries to get the winning product. How about that? I wish Luke had never mentioned the organisms and the microscope because that's all I'm seeing when I'm looking at this tent. So I'm gonna have to like retrain my brain to see the flowers because that's why I fell in love with the pattern when I saw it. I was like, I have to have a flower tent. I don't even see them anymore. It's raining again, so we're gonna have to move inside of the tent. I knew it was gonna happen. Let's go. Guess what happened, everyone? It stopped raining. It stopped when I put everything inside of the tent, and it stopped, and I'm not taking it back out. So we're just gonna sit here and enjoy the tent like this. It's getting late in the evening, and I think I'm gonna make dinner now. That was the plan right before the rain hit. I'll just do it right here from the tent. I'll leave the door open, just cook right here, and we'll just enjoy dinner right here. I've been sitting here watching the clouds. They're really amazing. They're wavy, very interesting looking. The rain's been hit or miss. It's spitting rain and then it will stop. I'm definitely not gonna set up everything outside again because I think it's pointless. Luckily, this tent is a palace for one. Tonight's dinner is Mountain House. It's chicken teriyaki, and I don't recall having this one before. I've had another brand of chicken teriyaki, but not from Mountain House. It smelled delicious when I was mixing in the water, so I think it will be good. Hot food makes the perfect hand warmer, as well as hot cups of coffee. You know, the key to really enjoying your camping trip is to make sure you're prepared. So if you want to do a rain trip or a cold trip or whatever trip you want to do, the key is making sure you're prepared for those conditions and making yourself comfortable. I guarantee you will enjoy that trip a lot better if you have the right gear to be in those conditions. So this is a cold trip, at least cold to me, and so I made sure to bring the right gear so that I'm fairly comfortable. It doesn't mean that I might not be miserable at times, but at least I should be warm for the most part. I may get a little bit wet, but I have like a change of clothes, extra clothes, and so on. So I think that's the key to enjoying the trips that you do, is just making sure you are prepared for those conditions. I've been in here cuddling my dinner, but I think now it's time to eat my dinner. Let's give this a try. Very good. I like this one. Chicken teriyaki from Mountain House. That's a good one. For the rest of the evening, the rain's going to be hit or miss. It looks like on the radar that the brunt of it will hit around 1 a.m. And this is a multi-day rain event for this area. It's going to be the biggest one that we've had since August, and it's greatly needed because we are still in a burn ban and there's lots of wildfires happening. So this should be a good and much needed rain event and a good test for our Coleman tent. What are my predictions for this tent? You know, I'm gonna stay positive. I think it's going to pass. So we shall see. I feel like the storm system that's moving in will be a great test because there's gonna be winds, heavy rains, and it's going to last for a prolonged period of time. And that's what a great test for a tent needs. We need prolonged rain to see if it will leak, not just a pop-up shower. I'll stay positive and I'm gonna say it will pass. What are your predictions? Comment down below. Full disclosure, I may have a little bit of bias when it comes to Coleman because everything that Luke and I have tested, it's never leaked on us. And I grew up camping in Coleman tents. Being inside of this tent, and actually when I was setting it up, I'll call it the Coleman smell. It's this really familiar smell. If you have a Coleman tent, you may know what I'm talking about. But I think it's because the floor is like a cheap tarp. And so there's a very distinct smell. Not bad, it's just associated with a Coleman tent. And I smelled that and it just brought back all of these memories of my blue Coleman tent. We would set it up in the summertime. My brother and I would put lawn chairs in it, like the lawn chairs that fold out flat, and those were our beds or cots. And it would stay up most of the summer, and I never remember it leaking. I don't remember anything bad happening to it, and it would literally stay up in our backyard all summer long. So I do have a little bit of bias when it comes to Coleman. I just haven't had a bad experience yet. Will that change tonight? I really hope it doesn't, but who knows? I should clarify that and say I haven't had a bad experience as far as leaking goes. I didn't say the quality is always great or that you might not find loose threads or it might just kind of look crappy. But as far as leaking, I've never had a Coleman tent leak, ever. I have had them arrive broken. Fresh from the factory, broken. Before I finish up dinner for the evening, I have a story to share with you. I told you I would share how my Jetboil embarrassed me in front of one of my friends. So get this, I go on a hike with my friend and I tell her that I will pack the stove and everything to make coffee. So I bring along my trusty Jetboil. For the most part, I've always liked my Jetboil. It's a little bit clunky, but I've always enjoyed using it. But anyway, I pack my bag, take my Jetboil. We get to the top of this mountain that we hiked up, and I'm ready to make coffee. So my friend is kind of new to the outdoors, new to hiking, and new to like making coffee in the woods. So she was super happy that I was gonna make coffee and thought it was like an awesome thing that I could pack a stove and bring coffee. I'm set to make coffee, ready to go, and the stove, the igniter is broke. It will not work. And I was just totally embarrassed. I couldn't believe the Jetboil let me down like that. Luckily, we came up with plan B, which was some flint and steel, and I got my stove going. But I was totally embarrassed and just like so mad at Jetboil for letting me down because here I was gonna make my friend a hot cup of coffee on top of this mountain in the woods. So we all had a good laugh about it and got some coffee in the end with flint and steel and getting the stove started. Yeah, there's a lesson is that you should always have a lighter. You should always have a backup plan because you can't count on those igniters to light your stoves. I'm so disappointed because Jetboil is one of those premium products. It's expensive for what it is. It's a clunky system, but it does look cool. It has that cool factor to it. I really like the colors of mine, and I had wanted one for a long time before I ended up getting this one. Also, the performance is really good with the Jetboil. It truly does boil water super fast. Even my friend made a comment on that. She was like, wow, that thing is really fast. But it's disappointing to pay so much for a premium product and have it fail. Again, I just want to reiterate that the reason I'm so disappointed is because of the price factor of Jetboil. There are copycats out there and they're a quarter of the price and they do the same thing. So to have mine broken and not even have that much use out of it, it definitely is disappointing. When I say my Jetboil embarrassed me, what I mean by that is I think my friend had such high expectations because she was like, you have the coolest gear. And so I felt that way, that her expectations was really high and I wanted to impress her with all my cool gear. So I was just like, I can't believe it let me down in front of my friend. It's about 9:30 and basically I'm going to start getting ready for bed. I've just been chilling in the tent. It's cold. I still think it's in the low 40s, but it's cold. So there's really nothing else to do but call it a night, get ready for bed, and wait for the heavy rain to arrive. It has been spitting rain off and on most of the night. Nothing significant, so we will wait for the heavy rain. I might as well lay down, try to get a few hours of sleep because I will have to check on this tent once the rain hits, because if it's leaking, I will have to bail. It's way too cold to stay in a tent that leaks, and if I get rained on, I will be really cold and damp, and it could be a dangerous situation. I put on some clean, dry socks before I crawled into my sleeping bag. It's always a good idea to do that because typically our feet are kind of sweaty just from being inside of our shoes. For now, I am sleeping with all of my clothes on, including my jackets, because the winds have picked up and it is cold. The tent has a lot of mesh, so I feel a lot of cold air coming in. So for now, I'm gonna stay like this. We'll see what happens. We'll see if it gets worse during the middle of the night. But I do feel warm, I feel cozy, and I'm ready for some sleep. I am a very cold-natured person, and the sleeping bag that I brought with me is a 0-degree bag. That is what it takes for me to stay warm, even though the temps will only be in the high 30s in the morning. That's still very cold to me, and it just takes more, so I will stay warm. You know, that's the thing about gear and why it's hard to tell someone else what to get, because we're all so different. So someone else may do a camping trip and not need a 0-degree bag, but I know how I am and I know how cold I get, and this is what works for me. All right, everyone, the adventure is on. Wish me luck. We'll see what happens when the rain hits. For now, I'm going to sleep. Good night. Update time, everyone. It's about 12:30. I've been sleeping a few hours and the rain has started. Doesn't sound heavy at the moment, it sounds pretty light. I'm going back to sleep and I'll bring you all back when it picks up some. Good morning, everyone. It's about 7:30 and it is still raining. It's been one long and wild night. The rain came in around 1 and it was very light to start with. So I kind of just slept through that, woke back up. It was still a little bit light, then it changed to moderate. I did get up around 5 a.m., tried to do some filming. Got very cold, a little wet, so I came back in here, crawled back into my bag and slept a little bit longer. So far, I have to report that the tent is dry. I'm super impressed, but in a way, I kind of knew it. Deep inside, I knew my Coleman wouldn't let me down. You all know what time it is. It is coffee time, so let's get that going. Did I mention that it's very cold? It's only about 34 degrees this morning. I have some hand warmers in my gloves and in my socks. I have all my jackets still on. So for myself, I have a base layer, which is merino wool, and then a fleece zip up, then my puffer, and I have my rain jacket on top of that. So I have quite a few layers on. I am cozy, but it's definitely cold. Let's chat about the tent for a little bit. As you can see, I have plenty of space in here, which I'm very happy about and fortunate, especially on a rain trip. It's nice to have a place to kind of spread out and have a chair and a table, still have a spot for your gear and for your bed. So as far as this tent for one person, I think even for two people, you would still have plenty of space. The water is on for breakfast this morning. I brought some oatmeal or something like that. I wanted to know what you all think about my Jetboil and what copycat I should get to test out to compare and see if it's better or if it's worse. I've talked about the performance of Jetboil and it really is super fast, and I'm curious to know if these copycats are as fast. If they perform the same and they're a fraction of the cost, it could be worth checking into. So let me know what copycats that you've seen out there and which one you think I should test out. banana citrus infused chia seed pudding topped with pineapple, kiwi, coconut flakes, and real vanilla. Oh, that's not oatmeal. Whatever. You all know what a fruit cup is, right? Have you ever thought about microwaving one? That's essentially what I'm eating here, is a big bag of hot fruit. It's weird. The more I look at this, I feel like it kind of looks like snot or something. It's kind of grossing me out. But it tastes like hot fruit, which isn't bad, just kind of weird. I don't know. I just went into our gear room, grabbed something. I thought it was oatmeal. That's what happens. Yeah, it is weird. This is good stuff right here. I'm gonna sit here and eat the whole bag of hot fruit. I'm gonna turn the camera off. I promise I'm gonna eat it. See my garbage bag right here? I'm not gonna throw it in there when I turn the camera off. I'm gonna down that entire bag of hot fruit. Don't worry. That was good. I'm so full. Just couldn't eat another bite. I've been inside breaking everything down and I pretty much have it all ready to go. So now it's time to throw everything in the van, break the tent down, and that is where this adventure ends. As far as the Coleman Skydome goes, we have to say it's legit, but I think we all have to keep in mind that we're talking about Coleman, and the first one arrived broken. This one was good. If I was to purchase another one, who knows which way it would go. We have to keep in mind that they do have a really awesome warranty. So when it comes to legit or shit, I think the Coleman Skydome is legit. The fact that the tent went through hours of rain with no leaking, it's a win in my opinion. For myself, this was my first solo rain trip, and I tried to do as much filming as I possibly could in the rain. I actually talked to Luke a little while ago. He's made it home from his business trip, and he said he felt really bad for me since it's such a cold, chilly morning. But I just laughed. I said, I'm having a blast. I know why you like doing this so much. This has been fantastic, and I've loved every minute of it. I'm so glad I got a good rain event for this trip. The Coleman did great. I don't think there's much more to say than that. I really appreciate you all sticking around, joining me for my solo trip for the Legit or Shit series. This was so much fun. There's a slight break in the rain, so I'm gonna tear the tent down, and the adventure ends here. If you liked this video, consider giving it a thumbs up, consider subscribing to the channel. I will see you on my next trip. Let me know what you guys think I should do. Thanks for watching. Bye. I can't believe I got the tent taken down just in the nick of time before the heavy rain sets in. I think that's my least favorite part of camping, is breaking everything down, especially when it's wet and cold. Thanks again for watching. Take care, be well. I'm out of here. Bye.